I ain't really going nowhere, y'all. I just hit stop and starting to record over again and making this the second video of my life update here in Texas. I do apologize for the length of that last video. I know that that was extremely long, but I'm just processing for myself as well. So thank you for those who are sticking this out, hanging with me. If you have questions or comments, please make sure you leave them for me. I will try my best to answer them for you. I typically tell people to, like, I leave my email on my channel. It's crystalline.macklin@gmail.com. If you have a question, you can email me. Some people have done that. I really appreciate those of you who have reached out. And I am sorry that this video has taken so long. I hope that with what I'm sharing, you can kind of understand why this would take a minute. All right, so we got through the whole custody battle has started. My car is now repossessed. I get a job at my kids' school. Let me tell you why this was such a blessing. My older two kids live walking distance from the school. So since I lost my car, I could walk to school with them. So I worked at the school from July to October, and that is when I got the work from home job. So from July to October, me and my older two, we walked to school together every day. We left together every single day. And that was truly a beautiful time. It's so funny because they were like, Mom, you really worked at just about every school we've been in. And it just happened that way. I didn't really plan for it. It just happened. How I got the job at my kids' school was I went up to the school to register them. Like, I had to take paperwork. I had to turn some things in. And I heard they had a teacher's assistant position open. And so I asked about it and they were like, oh, are you interested? And I was like, yeah, I think I would be. They're like, we can interview you right now. I was like, seriously? So I was there with my children. My mom was even with us. We were registering them and they interviewed me right then and there and offered me the job. Now, you gotta know that teachers assistants do not get paid well. My salary was $22,000. So as a single mom with 3 kids, obviously that doesn't even make sense. But I say that to say, when you walk through the doors that God has for you, even the temporary doors, because somebody needs to understand this. Every door God opens is not for the long haul. He will do things for a season. Do we not understand that? I think we do, but then when stuff is so temporary, we seem to forget that God does things in seasons. He does things when it's needed for a certain time. So God knew I wasn't going to have transportation. So he already lined things up this way and provided a job that I could literally walk to. And the weather was never an issue for us all that time. And when the door opened for me to get a work from home job, he opened up the door. Y'all, I don't know if you're familiar with Oak Cliff Bible Church. What is it? Bible Fellowship. Not that I'm trying to shout out big name places. I'm not. It's Tony Evans' church. I learned that they had like a private school. I had interviewed there and I could tell those people really liked me. They wanted to hire me, but that job was going to be like an hour commute for me every single day. They ended up not offering me the job. I just didn't hear back, even though they told me, oh my gosh, Crystal, like we absolutely love you. And they said, to be honest, we interviewed you because the gentleman who was the principal who told me about the church, who had interviewed me when I was still in Virginia, he was a friend of someone there and he knew my situation. So he was telling people, like, if you can get her interviewed, please do. Now, for those wondering, well, why didn't he just hire you? Because he worked at a school that was probably 2 hours from where I lived, because Dallas is huge. I live in McKinney, which is north of Dallas. He worked at a school that was about 45 minutes south of Dallas, and I live 45 minutes from the airport, 35 minutes on a good day. Traffic, 45 minutes. So to go even 45 minutes beyond that, it was not feasible. The point is, God saw all of this. God knew. He had foresight, obviously, because he is omniscient. He knows all things. So he knew this wasn't going to work for me. But here was the funny thing. They didn't offer me the job, which is why I accepted the teacher's position job at my kids' school. Do y'all know, a week after starting the job at my kids' school, Oak Cliff Bible Fellowship, they called me and offered me the job? They were like, are you still looking? Because we have a position that we would love for you to take. And I wanted to, y'all, but I knew it wasn't right. Not only did it not feel right by the time they called me, but I didn't have a car. So I was not even going to be able to make that commute. Now, of course, I prayed about it because I said, well, I know that I don't have a car, but I'm not going to base it off of just what I have, God. I'm going to believe you. You can do all things. But I just didn't feel like that was where I was supposed to be. And working from home right now, again, it is a necessity, but I also see exactly why it is that God has me here working the way that I am right now. And it is because he wants me ready and available to pick up and go wherever it is he tells me to go. Okay, so I start working at my kids' school. I love the kids that I work with. It was really, really good. I never walked into this situation thinking like, oh, you know, I was a teacher before and now I'm just a teacher's assistant. Like, I just went in and did the very best that I could. And it was a beautiful experience overall. Now, I'm talking about the experience with me and the kids. Me and the adults, it was okay. I definitely connected with some people. And then, you know, some people, they see your light. And I'm not even saying this to sound funny, but some people see your light and it bothers them. Even though I didn't walk around acting like I was anything or acting like, oh, I was a teacher, it's like, they sense something about you. They don't realize it's the Holy Spirit, that it's the God in you, but they take offense to it. So there's always going to be people, no matter where you go, who simply have an issue with you because you are simply a child of God. And that just is what it is. One thing that happened while working at the school that I do believe was divine timing is that I met a friend that has been so good to me since I've been here in Texas. Shout out to JB, Jamar. I met him at the job, and the way that we met was it was just such a God moment because I was on my break at work. I had another mediation session for this custody stuff, and that's what I was doing on the phone call. You know what? Let me back up because I forgot to say this in the other video. Let me just add this in here because I'm trying to be as transparent as possible. When I was facing legal stuff, like I needed a lawyer, okay? By the time this custody stuff happened, I needed a lawyer. Now, while I was just like, I mean, if I can't afford one, I can't afford one. God's just gonna have to be there for me. My family was just like, Crystal, no, like you gotta have resources. So my family did pull together to bring together some resources, but I also put out a spot fund, which is a crowdfunding thing. It's kind of like GoFundMe. I briefly explained my situation to people, and some people did pour into me. I said, this is not for housing. This is not for stuff. People didn't even know at that time that I didn't have a car. This isn't for a car. I simply want to make sure that I can have the representation that I need because I can't physically be in court. That was one of the biggest reasons why having a lawyer was important because I couldn't be there in person. So I needed to hire somebody. And so I just wanted to put that out there and share that. So there was a mediation session that was supposed to be between me, my children's father, our lawyers this particular day. That's why I was out in the hallway. But then they canceled it. So I was in the hallway, and it just so happens I saw this gentleman. He's inside the school already. He was trying to get into a door that only staff members had access to. So I walked up to him because I'm always eyeing out for things too. Like for safety reasons, I'm looking like, who's in the building? I don't recognize this person. Are you supposed to be here? I saw that he had a visitor's badge. I had a face mask on because and he couldn't even fully see me. But I was like, hey, did you need help getting in? And he was just like, yeah. I said, let me just make sure you're supposed to be here. What's your name? Like I was being funny, but serious. And I saw that he had a badge. So I knew he had checked in. So I let him in and I saw his name. He said, what's your name? Told him what my name was. And then anyway, he says that God just started to download to him about me. Like God was like, this is my daughter. And I don't even want to get into all this because I don't want people thinking that I'm just saying this about myself. I'm just telling you what Jamar told me. So he ended up reaching out to me saying like, sis, I really believe that God just really brought you here for a reason. And he wanted me to share this with you. Now, y'all, this was coming at a time I really needed it. It was September at this point. So I've been there since I moved there I moved to Texas on June 1st. It's now September, the end of September. And Jamar was there to give me encouragement that seemed like it was just hand delivered from heaven. And I really needed it at that time. So I will always thank God for the destiny helpers that he brings along the way, no matter how long or short the friendship is. I know that it was sent from God, and for that I'm grateful. So that was the same day that I got gifted from Sarah Jakes Roberts Ministries a complimentary ticket to Woman Evolve. Y'all, how awesome is that? I was gifted a ticket to go to Woman Evolve. Now, I'm not one of those people who just flocks to big name stuff. I'm also not one of those people who enjoys being in a big crowd. So going to Woman Evolve was not necessarily on my radar. Now, I've gone to Woman Evolve in the past, and it was phenomenal. I went to the very first conference, which, if I can just say, I'm going to just say it was the purest of them all, because I believe that it was the first time. They were just getting started, and things can become a little commercial. I'm sorry. I just have to say it. It doesn't mean you're not going to have a good time, but there are things that happen. That is nothing against Sarah Jakes Roberts. I believe she has a heart to serve God, but not everybody who's a part of what's going on. And sometimes that's just the people who are in the room are there for good reasons. They're there for the fashion. They're there for the tea. They're there for maybe the Christian gossip. They're there to see what's what. Are they really there for God? So you just see a lot when you attend things like this. And I'm not always into that. But because I was gifted with a complimentary ticket, I believed that God was opening up a door for me to go. So I went the first night, and it cost me $100 to Uber there. So I was like, nope, not doing that again. So I attended the first night. I got exactly what I needed to get. I got exactly what I needed to get out of that situation. And then I went back home. And I did not feel like I needed to return, because God gave me what I needed at that time. Also, the vibe of the people in the room, it was just off, y'all. If I can be completely honest with you, my spirit is really sensitive to environments and atmospheres, and even the way that I saw women treating each other and acting and talking. I was like, what is happening right now? So I wasn't feeling it. But I'm so grateful that Woman Evolve gifted me with that complimentary ticket. I believe that God had me in the room on purpose, and I am grateful that I got to be there. Okay, so by October, here's another thing that was really big in this move here, and that is that Jamar, my friend that I met, who started working at the school, here was the funny thing. Can I tell y'all the funniest thing? Jamar ended up taking over my role at the school. So I ended up training him in the role at the school, while I then transitioned out to my new job. And so we got to know each other pretty good. We both are super committed to our faith journey. And it just felt like really nice to have someone who understood what it was to completely sacrifice any and everything at the drop of a dime, simply because God says to do so. Is it time to change locations? Is it getting too dark in here? I don't know. Let's keep on going for now. Jamar ended up telling me about a church that he was going to in McKinney, and said, man, I really think that you would enjoy it. He knew that I had been attending one community church and visiting some other places, but that I hadn't found my church home. And so he told me about his church. And by the way, I stopped going to one community in August because, first of all, I just didn't feel like it was my church home. I also saw how when it was all good and I could serve and I could do all of this, y'all were communicative and you were talking to me. But as soon as I lost resources such as a vehicle and I couldn't do for you all anymore, I was just forgotten and nobody cared. So it seems kind of off to me, and I didn't get bitter about it. I just knew time was up. So that's what happened. Oh my gosh, how could I forget this? Another big thing about my journey here in Texas that I completely forgot about was, y'all, I was about to start working for the Dallas Police Department. I was on the fence about whether or not I should go into law enforcement. And I know that that seems completely random to some people, and it probably is, but I'll go into another video one day about where that even came from. But I was actually going for a dispatcher position. So dispatcher, but I was also curious about going the officer route. Again, another video one day, I'll discuss all of this. But that process is very long. So I started interviewing with the Dallas Police Department back in June when I moved here. But the process was not completed until September. And that's when I found out I did not get the job. Now, I will say, even though I know for a fact that there are people, places, and things that interfered with the job process and probably hindered me from moving forward, at the end of the day, what God has for you is for you. So the fact that the door didn't open was God simply telling me, no, do not go this route. So I can't be mad about it, because even if I know that somebody's trying to do something against me to keep me from moving forward in my life, how am I gonna be mad if God is allowing that to happen? He's saying, okay, I'm gonna let you get rejected right here because really I'm trying to redirect you over here. So that's what happened. So I just want you to know that between June and September, this whole Dallas Police Department stuff was also going on, and that was a lot of back and forth with them as well. So Jamar ends up telling me about the church that he was attending, and I was hesitant to go because I feel like sometimes when your friends invite you to their church, like if you don't like it, I feel like it's kind of awkward. Like they might be offended if you don't like it, and he probably wouldn't have been, but it can just be a little like, But the way he was talking about it and the things that he was sharing, I'm like, you know what? It does sound like what I've been looking for. So I started attending the same church that my friend Jamar was going to. And we both realized at that time that that's exactly why God allowed us to meet. Because with the season of life that we were both in, God placed us in this ministry for both of us to see certain things that were going on so that we would have each other to kind of lean on and talk to about, and even go through scripture about, like, when this happened, like, what were you thinking? And we would always pray about it before talking to each other. We never gossiped about things, but when the Spirit led us, we would talk about situations that we saw going on that just seemed a little bit off. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me slow down a little bit. I started attending the church in October. Again, you know, I haven't had a car at this point since July. So y'all, at the time of making this video, it's June of 2025. I still don't have transportation, but God supplies all of my needs. And although it sucks to Uber around sometimes, what I have paid in the past year of Uber rides is definitely cheaper than I would be paying in a car note. So I look forward to the day that God opens up that door and provides me with transportation again. And so I'm just trusting him. Whew, to be honest with y'all, it got hot as I don't know what back there in that room. I had to move. Okay, so at this point, it's October. I'm starting to visit the church that my friend Jamar is going to. And if I can just tell y'all, at that time, it was everything I needed. It had prophetic ministry. It had beautiful worship. The people were friendly. Like, it was just everything that I believed I needed and was looking for. Y'all, excuse me, adjusting my camera. And so I was really, really grateful. And so I'm not the kind of person who rushes into things. I did not, just like I didn't rush into this, even again, contrary to what some people may think, moving to Texas was a big deal for me. It was not something I rushed into. And so the same thing with the church. I take my spiritual health very seriously, okay? So I was not about to have me and my kids in an environment that just didn't sit right with me. So I visited the church for 2 months before joining, and I finally joined in December. And looking back on it now, because I am no longer a part of that church and that ministry, spoiler alert, I believe that the reason God had me there is because God knows how loyal I am. He knows that, okay, if you're planted here for now, you're going to immerse yourself in what's going on. You're going to be a part of what's going on. And he needed me there for end of year prayer as we transitioned from the end of year into the new year. That is such a pivotal part of my spiritual journey in general. This has nothing to do with Texas. This has nothing to do with that ministry. It has everything to do with what God is doing in my life. He had me placed there so I would be there for end of year prayer. So from the time that I was at that church, from October to December, things were beautiful. Something happened later though. There was a shift that took place, and when that shift took place, I just started to pray really heavily about, okay, Lord, like, what are you saying? What do you want me to do? And he said, I want you to watch. And so that's what I did. I watched and I studied, because God told me, you have entered the classroom of the Holy Spirit. And I need you to watch what's going on, because like I'm teaching you about your life, I'm teaching you about ministry, and I need you to see things that are okay to do, but I also need to show you some things that are not okay to do. So that is why I have you here. And there was a lot that I learned. If I can just throw this out there, because, not a lot of people will watch this anyway. If you attend a church where people know that you are not from, like, I'm not from here, right? People know that it's just me and my kids. Not a single soul ever reached out to me. Now, I'm not really the kind of person who cares about that, but if you really think about it, that is an issue, because I know I would reach out to people. I would make sure, like, are you good? Are you okay? They were also very aware of the fact that I did not have transportation, and not once did anyone ever ask me if I needed a ride or offered a ride. There was one Sunday where the Uber app was acting up and I couldn't get us a ride because it told me Uber was down for a moment. So I went to a lady and I asked her, I said, I'm so sorry to have to ask you this. Mind you, we live less than 10 minutes from the church, about 6 or 7 minutes away. I asked her if she would be able to take me and my kids home because the app wasn't working. And she just said, I'm not sure, and walked away. I don't know what that was about. I'm not even taking it personally. And I don't want you all to hear this and think, so you left the church because ain't nobody check on you or ask you if you needed a ride. No, I'm showing you the character. I'm showing you what it is to be around people who truly love God's people, and people who are there because they are trying to make a name for themselves. But I don't want to say too much because I'm not trying to disrespect anybody. But there is some growth that's needed. And if I ever had the opportunity to talk with them, I would be respectful, but I would share. And I think that's exactly why they did not want to talk to me, because they could see the God in me. They could sense it. And they didn't want to talk to people who would be honest and truthful, because that would have gone against their agenda. Not once did anyone ever check to make sure that me and my kids were okay if we missed a couple of Sundays, which, let me tell you, between October and December, never missed a Sunday. But didn't. Only one time in December, the weekend that I went back to the halfway point, which was Nashville, to pick my kids up from being with their dad for the holidays, I missed a Sunday. And then one time in January, we missed a Sunday because the weather was bad. We had a snowstorm, so we didn't go to church. Nobody ever checked. And I don't want you to hear this and be like, so you mad because nobody ever checked on you? It's not that. It's just the fact that there was no true love after a while. Like, at first, it seemed that way, but it's just enough to kind of pull you in, but then pull back. It had very much started giving off cultish vibes, and God forgive me, but y'all, that just was the truth. So my last Sunday at that church was Easter of this year. So I still went for a while because I was still praying about it. I was still allowing the Holy Spirit to do just what he said he was going to do, teach me. And I was taught. And so I was there through Easter Sunday. And then after that, we did not return. So Easter was in April. So we didn't go for several weeks. It was in May that I finally sent an email just to let them know. I just didn't want them to wonder. And by the way, Jamar had stopped going by this point too. And him not going is not the reason I stopped going. It's the fact that God did the same thing with us that we knew. This is why he allowed us to meet and become friends, because we were going to go on a similar journey. When I stopped going for several weeks, it was because I needed clarity. I said, okay, God, this is not feeling right. Anytime you have people saying all women come down to the front to have their hands laid on, and the female leaders in the church put hands on everybody, but they skip over you, or people do little petty things and say things to you out of nowhere, you got to start to wonder, what is this about? And so, you know what, God, I just ask you to continue to bless them, be with them, help them to get back on track, because I'm not making this up. Something has definitely gotten off track. And all of that shifted once the new year began, because end of year prayer was a powerful time. That was a lot of spiritual awakening, even for me, because God downloaded so much to me that I am implementing to this day. He is doing things in me that, oh my gosh, I can't thank him enough. One of the biggest things I'll share is that God started dealing with me, and see, this is going to have to be like a lesson one day, but he was dealing with me about jurisdiction in the realm of prayer. And mind you, my children's father, who I'm still legally married to, we are not divorced, because in the state of Virginia, you cannot get divorced until custody is established. And so we had to get through the custody stuff first before we could go through the divorce. It's been a lot, y'all. It's been a lot. And so, man, it was in December that God was saying, I need you to shift the way you praying for him. And I was like, I try to pray for him. I really did. I try to pray, even when I'm upset, like, God, I don't know what is going on. I don't know what this man is doing. I don't know why he's acting like this. And God was like, I need you to change the way you're praying for him. I was like, I'm honest with you when I come to you. I let you know when I'm frustrated, but I still ask you to lead him and guide him, to be there, to let him come into the fullness of who you are, God. Like, I'm praying. He was like, you're praying, but you're not praying like I need you to. You're praying because you're trying to do the right thing, but you're not really going deep like I need you to. I need you to pray for him like you know he's my son. I need you to pray for him like you know that you're the only one who has jurisdiction over his life in the way that you do in the spirit realm, because in my eyes, you all are still one. I understand the circumstances, but you guys are still legally husband and wife. And because of that, there is not a single person on this planet who can pray for him the way that you can and get a prayer through, because you are connected to him in the spirit. So when I need you to pray for my son, I mean it. I need you to pray for him because it's life or death. That shifted so much, y'all. It shifted so much. And again, I'm not going into the details of everything, but December was a shift. And it was around that time that our communication shifted. It got so much better. And it's not perfect, but it's to the point now that I just know that you just have to trust God, even when things look completely ugly, when it looks like there is no way it could be turned around. God is saying, trust me. Trust me. You frustrated with him? Don't tell him, tell me. And I was at that point, but like, if I got frustrated, I also just didn't. It was a lot, y'all, but let's stay on this Texas move. I'm so sorry. It's just that this is so much a part of it too. Like the transformation that has taken place in our co-parenting relationship. He came to visit in November, which I believe that that's when a shift happened as well. Not so much with us, like with our communication, because at that time it still wasn't great. I think that he did just begin to see, she's really not doing anything to try to keep my kids from me. I may not have agreed with what she tried to do, and he's very vocal about that, and I understand. But he knows that I was just doing what I thought was the right thing. Even began to later on thank me for doing a hard thing that has gotten us to a place in our communication that is so much better than where it was. And it's just truly a testimony, y'all. It's truly a testament of God's goodness and what he's doing. We are still a work in progress, But it has gotten so much better. And when I tell you, from May 31st, 2024, when that paperwork was served to me and the lies were told and so many things were happening, I could not have seen us getting here per se. Although I just trusted God. I just know you have me, God, because I'm doing what you're telling me to do. And so that's all that's happening. I'm just trusting him. And so anyway, the kid's dad, he came to visit in November. He spent Thanksgiving in Texas. The kids, he stayed in a hotel nearby, so the kids were with him. But Thanksgiving Day, I cooked, and we just had family time, and it was one of the best times ever. We all just truly loved it. It was amazing. He even started liking it out here, which was cool. So yeah, that's that. Fast forward, he did visit again in March, which the kids went in December, and then he came for spring break in March and spent time. And that was when there was a complete shift in the way that we handle each other and deal with each other. We have been in a place of still being on the defense a little bit, not sure if we can trust the other person. And because he was hurt that I left, and I was hurt by his actions. I was hurt by the things he did that made me feel like I had to leave. Like, there was so much. And just to see, I say all this to say, and it's so weird to say it right now because we're still living and walking this thing out. But y'all, God can turn anything around. And I'm just so grateful for the sake of our children that God is allowing us to walk out forgiveness, faith, and love in front of our babies. So right now, I don't feel any kind of way. And I never knew that I would, even be okay with this. But the fact that the kids are in Virginia now because they're on summer break and they're spending the summer with their dad, I'm so happy for them. And I'm so happy for him that he has this time with them. And I don't know, it's just such a testimony. That's going to have to be a whole separate video, but I don't really know if I shared everything that I wanted to about this Texas move. I just know that God has really done so much. And there are days that I had to let myself cry. There are days that I struggled and at the same time just felt immensely blessed. Y'all, in my building, I would say that there are, at least 12 apartment units on each floor, and there are 3 floors. So there's at least 30 plus families that live in each building. And in my building, man, y'all, I'm one of the last ones standing. So many people have gotten evicted. So many people have gotten put out, and they do not care. They don't try to work with you. These people don't care. They do not care about you. I know without a shadow of a doubt, God is the only one that has kept me and sustained me. He is the only one. He's the only reason why I am still here. And I thank God for every person that has come along and blessed me. I thank God for my older sister who will say, to the best of her ability, she will never let me slip and fall as long as she is here, because she knows that I'm seeking God with everything in me. So I thank God for her, and I pray that he blesses her so much for being a blessing to me. And I pray, y'all have no idea how much I pray for people who have been a blessing to me, whether it's friends or their family. My friend Charmaine, who I love so much, her family has thought about me at times and just said, hey, we need to send something to Crystalline. These were days that I didn't have money for my phone bill. But as long as my lights were on and I could have the rent paid, y'all, I didn't care. But somebody, each and every time that I fell in a situation like that, God would send somebody to bring resources divinely, provide for what I needed, because I keep taking my needs to him. And I just want that to encourage someone. God will do whatever is necessary to provide for you and take care of you. I've had the opportunity to even be a blessing to people. And I also believe that that is why God continues to bless me. Because even when I feel like I don't have enough, I always try to share even the little bit that I have. I've made some acquaintances / friends with some ladies in the neighborhood, but the ones that I have don't even live here anymore. Whether they moved away or they had to move, they're not here. So when I walk outside of my building or I go for a walk and I'm just looking, I cannot believe that I know on paper, I don't have everything I need to sustain this life, but God has done it. God has kept me. And he continues to provide, because when you are in his will, he's going to take care of you. God's will, God's bill. Where God guides, he provides. And so I'm telling you what I know. I'm telling you what I have lived. God will take care of you if you stay in his will, no matter what it looks like to anybody else. When he says go, go. When he says stay, stay. When he says move, move. The point is to do whatever it is that he is telling you to do, because he will not fail you. Y'all, when I go outside of my building and I look around and I'm like, man, that person's not here anymore. This person got evicted. That person got put out. I just cannot believe that God has me here. That I'm one of 4 families left in this building who have been here since the beginning. Because when I moved here, this was a brand new building. This is a brand new neighborhood. And the building that I live in was the first building occupied. I was one of the first residents to move here. And God has kept me. I have watched people be put out and leave and not, oh my gosh, it's been a lot. There were times I'm like, is that gonna be me? Like, I had a heart that was heavy every time I saw those people going through that, because I wish I could have done something to help them. Like, that's how I am. This is why God, I know he's going to bless me tremendously to be wealthy one day, because he knows that my heart is to help people. Let me hurry up and get off here. As soon as I finished that last sentence, my camera told me I was out of memory, so I had to offload that video onto my computer. Now I'm back just to wrap this up. Oh my goodness. Thank you if you've made it this far, for hanging out with me. I would also love to hear how some of you have gone through faith journeys like this, and maybe share something in the comments about that. And if something about this series and this update, this life update, because this is what it has been. If anything has blessed you, just feel free to share me, because I do find that encouraging. Guys, I've had some rough days. I really have. Not even so much just about being here. Don't let nobody fool you. Doing the will of God and doing what he tells you to do and asks you to do, which is never easy, is just... Y'all, I ran out of space, so I've been trying to offload some of the videos that I was recording and make a proper ending. I just want to say, Texas has been good to me and my family. It really has. Now, it has not been what I thought it would be, but it has been what I've needed it to be. Texas was good to me. It has been good to me, for me and my kids. Like, my kids have thrived this past school year. They have done amazing things, and they have even learned the beautiful life lesson that hard things are not always bad things. Challenges can be good, and getting outside of your comfort zone sometimes is the very thing that you need. And so I just want to let you all know that Texas has really been a blessing to us. And although not everything that I thought would happen has taken place, I am truly trusting and continuing to believe God in all that he is doing, because he has shown me over the past year that I am his and that he will take care of his. And so just want to end it on a positive note by saying I really am grateful for all that God has done. And hopefully I'll be making more videos with updates soon.